greatly excited I am to have the beautiful, the talented, the amazing, my friend, and she should be yours, Miss Heather Workman. Um, she is an oracle and shaman, and really, she's just such an amazing being that I think that you guys all should know. So, Heather, tell everybody who you are.
Oh, goodness. I am, wow. I am just a divine being working on all of my own stuff to be able to share my knowledge with other people
I got
and
that.
change lives.
I got that. Do you feel, it's funny because everyone says, well, you're a shaman or you're this or you're a coach. Do you feel that because of, and they expect you to be perfect,
Yes, that is true.
like your life doesn't deal with any of that. Um, anything. How do you really process so that you can be there for people?
Um, a lot of on my own, to be honest. I try to share with people so that they know, like, I go through the same things that you guys have all been through, and or are going through. I have had lots of trauma in my life, which has led me to where I am. People who do what I do, there's a reason why they do it, and so for me, I've lost both parents, I've lost a partner, I've saved my own child's life. I was a single mom my child's whole entire life. So I've been there. I've done some things and I've worked really hard to heal from a lot of it, but it's an ongoing process. No one is ever healed completely always. There's always something that comes up. I still get triggered just like everyone else. I still go through those emotions. The difference is I'm self-aware enough to be able to reflect on it and help other people to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's funny because you talk about triggers, and of course that triggered something in me.
Of course, of course.
you know, this week has been, this last couple weeks have been rough. My
Yeah.
dad is, we found out about my dad. If those that might not know, my dad is not going to survive much longer. He's at home. Yesterday was his 75th birthday party. So we all got together and we're at my sister's. We had dinner. My sisters still can't cook. It's kind of wonderful. Um, like I keep telling them, guys, let me know what you want. Just let me know.
Right.
I'll cook it. I'll bring it. I'll cook it. I'll do the whole thing. Just let me cook. Um, but it was very triggering. My dad and my brother look very much alike. My brother passed away 5 years ago. And they're doing this thing where they like kind of collapse in on themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
it's like watching him do it. It just like, oh my god, I can't even watch, right? And I
Yeah.
realized what it was because it was triggering my brother and the grief I have for my brother
Yeah.
being gone and knowing my dad's leaving. You know, how do you And as you were saying, it's just a matter of, being self-aware enough to know, oh, this is what's triggering that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and to be able to feel the feels. So usually what we do, especially Gen Xers, older millennials, we were definitely taught, why are you crying? If you don't stop crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about, that sort of
Mhm.
thing. And so we were taught to just stuff those feelings down and stuff them down and stuff them down and stuff them down. And then we have all kinds of sicknesses and because when you don't deal with your emotions, it shows up physically in your body. I know I suffer from fibromyalgia. I have complex PTSD. I have OCD. I have depression due to chronic pain. I'm ADHD. Well, ADD now as an adult. Hyperactivity is not my issue anymore. But and so it's learning to, oh, That's making me feel a certain way, and it's okay to feel that way, and to acknowledge those feelings and feel through them instead of saying, I don't have time for that. Right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times that's what we end up saying. I mean, I literally told my therapist one time, she was like, I'm really worried about you. And I go, well, first off, you don't ever have to worry about me harming myself because that's never been an option for me. But I don't have time to go to a hospital and check in and get help. Like, I don't have time for that. I have other things going on, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so now when I do get triggered, I've been triggered a lot over the past couple of weeks. I had a friend's daughter who unalived herself at like 27 and suffered a lot of the same things that my daughter does. And it was an instant, like as soon as he told me that's how she passed, you know, and my daughter and I are not on the best of terms right now. And so but I messaged her. I said, I know you don't really want me to message you, but I need to tell you I love you because, you know, type of thing. And but it actually opened up the doorway for us to talk some, you know, and stuff like that. But when I do get triggered, I have to say, ooh, that just triggered me. Yeah. Like, oh, okay. Why did that trigger me? What's the reasons behind it? You know, I mean, with that one was pretty obvious. Like I knew why, but you know, and then to be able to feel it and be upset about it, and that it's okay to be upset about it and have those feelings, right? Because that's the big thing, is that you don't deny it. Like you with your grief. Grief never goes away.
No.
I'm 47. I lost my mom when I was 23 years old, and she was sick for the majority of my life. She got diagnosed with cancer when I was 8 years old, and that was the second time she was diagnosed with cancer. So from 8 to 23, we never knew what was going on, especially the last 8 years of her life. To this day, and that's the other thing, we're told that you go through these stages of grief and then like it's supposed to be this magical thing, right? Well, everyone doesn't go through the stages of grief like they say they do. There's no order to them, and it never goes away. It never goes away. There is something every day that I would like to say to her or my dad, almost every day. I think of them every single day. Even thinking about it now makes me want to cry, because there's always something, you know? So it's that bullshit that we tell ourselves that, oh, well, okay, I've been upset for 2 months, and I used to do it. When my dad passed away, it was like, I drank a lot for about a month and a half, and then I'm like, oh, okay, that's the appropriate time. Done. When my fiance passed away, and that was super traumatic. Same thing. It was a couple months. Someone goes, you know, I'm really worried about you, because I was drinking a lot. And then I was like, okay, well, that's kind of getting out of control. You know, okay, let's wrap this up. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean?
One of the things I love about the Jewish community, they have a couple really great things that we haven't put into Western society yet, right? One of them is their bereavement.
The
right?
7 days of sitting and just being and feeling.
And being and feeling and dealing with your shit. Because, you know, 7 days of dealing with, not that it's ever going to go away. Like you said, it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away even if you sit through the 7 days, right? It's not like it's, 7 days, you're done. But at least if you actually have to sit and deal, like really just sit and deal. Like this is all your whole life is about sitting and dealing right now, right? And then it can bring up all those things. You can feel them, you can do them, and so when you go back onto the world and have the moments like you just did, you know, it's a moment, okay, but it's not like going to take you out for the rest of the day.
Right.
It's not, you know, it's not going to, it's, I have a moment. I'm sad. Oh, wow. That's sadness. And it's okay.
And that's the other thing, is when you are self-aware enough to know what's triggering you and why it's triggering you. Mm-hmm. And the key is to do the work to figure out the whys behind it, right? And so that way, when you do get triggered, you can say, oh, I know why I feel this way. Okay, it's okay to feel that way. And then you could change your thought process, right? Yeah. Without that self-awareness of where it came from and the why behind the feelings that you have, that's where we struggle, because there's no logical like reason for it in your brain, because most
Yeah.
people, they need to know why do I feel like this? Why am I in survival mode all the time? Why are, you know, and which is what I do. So
Right.
that's where my shamanism and my energy healing comes in, is I help people and I work through the chakras, which are our 7 main energy portals. We do have chakras other places. But the 7 main ones. And we go through each one and we figure out like where you're blocked and why. Where did it come from? And I'm pretty good at it. I mean, I can, even during my oracle readings, because I do oracle cards as well and do oracle readings, which are amazing, but they're not like any other reading you're ever going to have.
Mhm.
My oracle readings are not like go and pay someone to do a tarot reading at an occult shop or something like that. That's not what we're doing. We're getting down to business when I do an oracle reading, because I'm reading your energy, I'm reading what you're going through, and then we're going to talk about it. It's not and so I go, so when in your life did you feel this way? Or when, what made you not feel, not, and 9 times out of 10, someone can tell me instantaneously where. I remember when I was 12 and I, because I played sports and I was a female, I was, labeled in this, put in this category, I was treated this way, or, I mean, and then, okay, now, when that feeling comes up, where it stems from, because we push all that stuff down all the time.
Yeah. I say that we create statements for life.
Yeah.
Right. So what ends up happening is that you'll say something like, I am this and I won't that, or I will this, therefore I will, right?
Yeah.
Or I will not. So, I am, I am not athletic enough is one of my big ones.
Oh yeah.
One of the big ones. Big, 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 big. My
Yep.
brother was an athlete, like all-star athlete. I was never going to compete with my brother. Just
Right.
physically, he's 6'3". He's built better. Like he's
He's
built.
not built better, he's
No,
built
he's
different.
built. He's built the way that an athlete should be built. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah.
Like he just has the musculature, the stuff. Now, could I get musculature? Sure. Can I? Could I? It's the same thing I talk about when I go and do the voice. I can get on the voice. I have the raw talent to get on the voice. I do. Now, in order for me to do that, what I would have to do is I would have to hire a vocal coach, and I would have to do that for, and really be serious about getting my vocals done. I
Right.
would have to go and get my teeth done. They don't like my teeth. I understand that. Okay. I would have to lose some weight, right? And not that they don't make it, but it's still
Right.
probably better if I did lose some weight, got into some shape, got a little bit better in my clothing. I know when my clothes look better on me, right? Not that and this is not.
Well, and what that is your confidence is different when your clothes fit
Mhm.
differently, right? It
Yes,
has nothing to do with your weight.
right.
It has to do with how you feel
Mhm.
when you are at a certain weight or a
Right.
certain,
Right. And so that's what I would have to do to the voice, right? But when I talk about, being an athlete, I said for many, many, many years, the only place you should ever have to run is to a bathroom.
I always say, I'm a larger woman. I have big boobs. I say I'm a fat bitch. If I am running, you better run, because that means something's going on. If you
Something
see me running, there's a
you,
fire or somebody's
you
dying, or you better be behind me,
right.
because there's a reason.
And I might push you down just
Oh yeah.
to stop whatever's coming. So just
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Like if I'm running, there's an issue, because
Right. So, and then I end up, but so my trigger is anytime I have to do something like that, and then it comes into a manly thing, and it comes into like it builds into a whole different thing,
right.
right? And I've done all the work to clear out those triggers enough to know where the triggers are and go, oh, okay, yeah, this is what's happening. All right, look at that.
Yeah.
But it took a while. It took a
Yeah.
while to realize why I couldn't friggin' pick up a power tool
Right,
without, like,
because you were
literally
right, because
shaking.
you were told you weren't manly because you didn't play football or, yeah,
My dad, when I was, like, 10 or 12, we were doing the dormer, and I wanted to cut some of the wood for him, and he had a big table saw out, and I was like, "I can cut some of that for you," and he goes, "No, that's dangerous," while he let my little brother do it. It I was treated differently. I was like, all my life, I was treated slightly different. Not even a bad. I wasn't interested in most of that stuff.
right,
But what I knew is I was sick of walking up and down the stairs to take the wood up, and I can cut it while they're all carrying it up and down,
right,
and I can stay right here and I can cut this wood real quick, and I could do
right,
it, and I would be in a good space. It was all even uniform cuts. I was smart. I could do those things.
right,
And but still, even picking up a power tool, I literally have picked up a power tool and started shaking. I'm like, "Why the fuck am I?" It's a power tool. It's a power drill. It's a power drill. It has a screwdriver head on it. I can go like this.
right,
You
yeah,
know, just the crazy things that come up, and you just don't even realize that they happen until they happen, right?
yeah, yeah, and then and knowing the reason why you feel that way, it just makes it so you could process it quicker.
Mhm.
Or maybe have the feels.
Yeah.
Like, so at the end of November, my son-in-law passed away, and it was very sudden, and I so this is the other thing. As an empath and healer, I feel all the feels for everyone else, right? And so I felt for my daughter because because for me, I've had so much death in my life. I've lost, like I said, I lost both parents. But my mom also worked in a mortuary when I was growing up. And so for several years. And so um death to me was a very natural, like it happens, so we like talked
Mhm.
about that part of it. Um, but I felt for my daughter. I felt for my grandkids, right? I have a granddaughter who's 15 and a grandson who's 12. And so like they lost their parent and I know how that feels. And all those things. So but I allowed myself to not be okay because that's the other thing, right? We tell ourselves this is the hugest lie we tell ourselves is that we have to be okay all the time. That is the hugest lie we tell ourselves,
Mhm.
right? And so it's okay to not be okay. What is not okay is to unpack and stay there for long periods of time, right? That's the part we don't want to do. And so for several days I just was sad and it hurt and I hurt for them and the process that they were gonna have to go through. And my daughter just lost her husband that she had been with for 17 years, you
Yeah.
know, um, all these things. And my roommate, one day she goes, "Are you okay?" Because I was just kind of silent and I didn't do anything. And I just allowed myself to have all the feelings for a few days.
Mhm.
And she goes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And she was like, "Oh, well, what can I do?" And I go, "Nothing. There's nothing you could do. I'm just not okay right now. I will be okay in a few days, but right now I'm not okay. And it's okay for me to not be okay right now,
Mhm.
because we want to fix it. We want to, and it, you don't have to fix it. You have to feel through it.
Mhm.
And the healing process is not an easy process. So
No.
that's, when we're going through that process, everyone goes, "Oh, well, easier said than done." I hate that saying. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it because I get it all the time. "It's easier said than done, Heather. You just make it sound like it's so easy." And I'm like, "No, I worked my ass off to get where I am."
Right.
No, it was not easy. I went to therapy and I went to an addiction therapy because I smoke. And so I was going to addiction therapy and I'm an addictive addict. So like it's whatever I used, whatever it was to numb. Nothing was ever long term,
Mhm.
but anytime something happened, I numbed. And food was my biggest one because it's socially acceptable and you can always binge and no one says anything because, it's food.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done all the things. Well, not all the things. There are certain ones that I don't do because I am self-aware enough to know that there are certain ones that I think I would probably like too much. And I know it would be a bad idea for me to do them. And so I did not do them. But so I went to this therapy and it was like all about why do you use? Why do you, and I had to graph this stuff and I had to go through, a lot of things. And then I had to heal by myself. Okay. And I felt like at one point that so for me, I worked in the medical field for over 20 years. And I always imagined it like I had all these wounds, right? We talk about wounds. Well, I imagined them physically on my body. And I would have all these bandages on, and every once in a while, the wound would seep through the bandage, and I would have to change the bandage. So I would rip the bandage off, and I would have a moment kind of, rebandaging it and not really cleaning it out, not cleaning the wound out, but just kind of like patting it a little bit so that it didn't seep through the bandage and slap the bandage back on. Well, after intense therapy for a year, I felt like I was one big walking raw wound. I couldn't hide it from anyone anymore. I couldn't, I felt like everyone could see it, that I wasn't masking in any way. I still was. I was doing pretty good. But I sure as hell didn't feel like I was. But I wasn't learning any coping skills. So I stopped going to therapy. And because I'm like, okay, well, now that I'm this big walking wound and I can't possibly put all those bandages back on because every bandage was ripped off. Every wound was oozing. And I'm like, now it's time to heal all of them, and it takes a long time and it's hard work. And you have to individually go, which is where I came up with my program, Peace Among Your Chaos, healing through your chakras, right? And so I needed to find an organized way because I have OCD. So I need to have a set, how am I going to do this? Because it was really overwhelming. Like, where do you start? What do you, how do I do this? And I started at the bottom. And
here.
Yeah. I started at the bottom.
My whole body is here.
Yeah. And I went from the root chakra and what comes up for the root chakra. What is it in charge of? What makes it blocked? What, and then it's like, oh, that's your foundation. Okay, well, now let's talk about my childhood. And, what was that like? And living with, my dad was 29 when my mom got diagnosed with cancer the second time. They gave her 6 months to a year to live. She lived for 15. And so he had anger and resentment, and he was there out of feeling obligated to be there, not because they had a great marriage. Right. And, and just things, and we, as kids, my sister and I got the brunt end of it. I am super blessed in the fact that I have the best big sister in the whole world, and no one can convince me otherwise, because our perception when you grow up with multiple siblings or siblings at all, a lot of times your siblings have a different perception of how you grew up. I'm sure this happens in your family, right? Mm-hmm. What your brother and sisters how they grew up and their experience in the family is probably completely different than yours, right? So if you try to talk to them about something, they're like, no, that's not how it was. How do you even, where did you even get that?
Yeah.
Right. I am so super blessed. My sister and I are on the same page. So a lot of times I will go to her and we'll be talking about stuff and she's like, oh, no, you're right. That's, it like almost justifies it for me. Like, mm-hmm. And a lot of clarity comes from that too, of being able to talk to her and her going, oh, no, we were an obligation to dad. Or, yes, that's how it was, type of thing. So I'm super blessed in that, but it's still, it's a hard process, and I just figured out a way to help other people, to guide them to where to start, because that's the biggest question I always get is, I don't know where to start. There's so many things that I don't know where to even begin to do that.
I got it. Yeah,
I figured out a way. I created a way.
and it's so powerful when you're actually doing the work and actually working through in a
Yeah,
logical
because we
step
lie
by
to
step.
ourselves more than anyone else.
I did a video. Was that? Oh no, I end up not. That's right. That's why I kept deleting. Um,
You're like, no thanks.
I just did a video on this. I was literally working on this video, and it wasn't coming out right. And have you ever done this? And you're working on this video, and it's like I know what I want to say, and every time I would do something stupid somewhere, like no, why did I say that? Like it's like delete it, and it's short form. So I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's literally every word has to work, and
So I have learned when I'm doing that there's a reason, and to just keep going and post it because it makes you a real person.
right. And I get that, but it was like it literally like I kept messing up the ending. I kept messing up like there was just things I knew I needed like this said, and I couldn't get all three said,
Right.
right? So I deleted it, and then Gabby woke up and because she was sleeping, and I was trying to do it before, and I never redid the video because I got into my day and ended up not doing it. But I was just talking about that. The person you're gonna lie to the most, the person you're gonna break a promise to, is you.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
you.
I started telling myself to shut the fuck up and that I like that's bullshit. So when that self-talk starts, because I still have that self-talk. Like it
Hmm.
doesn't go away, you guys. There's no like magical, oh, I am perfect. If someone comes to you and says that they're enlightened, they're probably not enlightened because people who are enlightened don't talk about it. They just do.
They probably aren't. By the way, they're probably not walking among us.
And
They're because
well, that's not necessarily true, but true enlightenment is a constant. You're constantly working on that.
Mhm.
There's constant growth. There's constant. Anyone who is like, oh, I have all the answers. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. Because no one does. That's why we're here. If we could just come here and have all the answers, then what's the point in coming into your body? You
Mhm.
know. So no, it's a constant process, and it's um but I when that self-doubt starts talking, or I start questioning myself or things like that, I literally like, bitch, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm like, no, that's bullshit. You're bullshitting yourself. You know that's not true. Enough.
Mhm.
And then I find the opposite of that. So then I change the wording. I change, I go to the other side of that. Like, what
Yeah.
was I just telling myself? Okay, no, what's the opposite of that? And then that's the narrative that I change it to.
And I even like having an example. Like, so one of the people one of my mentors, had said, "That is not my thought."
Yes.
Say it out loud. That is not my thought. And then literally
One
go
of
to
the
an
things
example of
my spiritual advisor said to me, and it stuck with me, and it's a whole saying, but the part that sticks out to me is the one that I repeat to myself, is I have thoughts. I am not my thoughts.
that's good. I
Right?
love that.
We have thoughts, but we are not our thoughts.
That's so
And
true.
that's a game changer.
Hmm.
Just because you're having the thought does not make it a reality. We have thoughts, but we are not our thoughts. Yeah.
I got it.
And the other one, other people's opinions of me are none of my business.
That's always a good one too.
Because
And I
we are
can,
always so worried about what other people are thinking, or how other people are going to perceive us, or do they think I'm weird, or do they think like I'm super awkward. People would not realize that. To know me, they would not know I am super awkward.
same.
And and so because you put on this shield all and stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm not perfect. No, I am not. I'm none of those things. I'm a hot mess. I work on myself all the time. The same thing I used to tell my students when I was an instructor is, I am no better than you. I've just been doing this long enough to be able to help you through the process and teach you how to do the same thing. That's in this point in my life, it's the same thing. Yeah. I still work on myself. No one's perfect. No one knows it all. It's still a learning process. Always, always, always. I just have the privilege now to have enough knowledge about it to share my knowledge with other people and teach them how to do the same thing.
I totally get that. And Heather's a really great person to learn from. She teaches me something almost daily. Almost daily. If it's not flat out taught, teaches me, reminds me of something almost daily.
And not even intentionally, just in conversation. It's not like we don't set out to do it. It just comes up. Yeah.
She'll say something and I'm like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 And a lot of times it'll be just like that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm also not afraid to say all the things that no one wants to say.
That's really, I've never known that from you. As you can tell, Heather and I are really actually very good friends. She's probably one of the people that I talk to the most. Very, very close to the most talk to. If you guys don't know who she is, make sure you follow her. Her links are somewhere here. Make sure you're following her. Her card reads are always a fun hoot to be on. Every time you'll know when I walk in, when I actually turn it on, because she'll drop the cards no matter who she's reading for. It's kind of a joke between us now.
A card flings out.
Yeah,
I do lives. I'm trying to get to 1,000 on TikTok so that I can do lives on TikTok, and I'm almost there. I'm at like 950 or something like that. I'm super close. But
I was just talking to my niece. My niece has 4,000. I was talking to her yesterday. She has 4,000 people on TikTok. I'm like, okay, I post every day. I do everything. I do the things. I'm tagged the things.
So one of the big things is to do the fun filters that they do. So I do those every once in a while where I'll just throw a couple of those in there. And then, I need to do more another fucking affirmations.
I love your fucking affirmations.
Spicy affirmations, because we hear them all the time, and I add a little sass to them.
Well, you added a little sass to everything, so
I can't help it.
I know.
Yeah, I do it. Most days, I say it's a daily card pull. The majority of the time, I do a daily card pull. I post that across all my social medias. I do, and I also do soul sessions. So that's something I probably don't talk about enough. If you can't do my full program, I do soul sessions where you come in with what is going on right now in your life, and let's get to the bottom of it and talk through it so that you can feel lighter and clear your energy out and start the process. Because once you plant the seed, it's just a matter of time before it breaks through the soil. So, come and have a session and get some insight about a few things and what's going on in your life. And let's get to the bottom of it, of why you repeat those, why do you have that thought process? Why do you repeat those things? Because the why behind things is so important. And as soon as you know what that why is, you can go, oh, that's bullshit. No. Okay. That sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. So Heather, how do people reach you? What's the best way?
You can reach me on any of my social medias, DM me. I will have a website up soon. It's in the works right now, but hit me up on social media, any of them. Like I said, I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I am on Instagram. You can hit me up in my DMs on Facebook. Just send me a message and, hey, I'm interested. I'd really like to talk to you. I saw you on Jeff's awesome podcast, and I would love to connect with you. I would love to have a conversation. It's what I meant to do. This, it truly is. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing in life.
I I couldn't imagine you doing anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. As an instructor, I taught medical assisting for several years, and I found that that's what I was doing is I was, I was mentoring all these students, and not only was I teaching them a skill, but, you know, um, I was teaching life lessons. I was teaching, I would have students who came in who had never had a mother figure in their life. And now they had someone who was their biggest fan, who was rooting for them no matter what, and telling them every day how that they were doing a great job and that they could accomplish this, and, working through their issues to keep them in school,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. And I went, I need to do this with no rules. Because I was limited. I was limited in what I could share with them about my story. I was limited in how much I could help them and stuff like that. And I said, I want to do this where I don't have a limit and I can do it however I want. And Jeff knows that I do it how I want because we fight about it all the time.
I wasn't even gonna go there.
I'm probably one of the toughest clients that Jeff has ever had, because I probably fought him every step of the way. And I'm like, that doesn't work for me. I'm finding a way that it works for me. And he did teach me a lot of things. I did get a lot out of it, though he may not think that I did.
I see the things. I see you put things in place.
Yeah.
It's not that.
I just have to figure out how it works for me.
Right.
I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, okay, I need to take in the information and process it and figure out, how I'm going to apply it to what I'm doing and how I want to do it so it flows for me.
Yeah. You're just an amazing person, anyways.
Thanks.
And she's just naturally amazing. I was just there to guide a couple, thought processes. That's all.
You definitely helped me put some things,
perspective
on things and look at it differently. I always love different perspectives because it makes me think.
Mm-hmm.
And, and because that's part of that healing process too, is to be able to look at different people's perceptions,
mm-hmm.
and look at all sides of something, so that you can respond and not react.
Heather is actually one of the big inspirations why I got out of doing the business stuff. And it's because I realized that I wasn't trying to do the business stuff. It was always about how to have a better life. And so when we sat down and we started talking, we had the conversations, and why do you believe that? Why is that where you're at? You know what I mean? And started having those conversations. They worked really well. When I was sitting here doing the business side of things and that whole systems stuff, and I can do it, and I still do it, and I still can work through if that's what you need, but it's not my focus anymore.
Right.
And I think that it's really changed how I show up for clients. I don't, because I'm not rigid about the rest of the stuff. It's not about me, right? It's not about what I say. It's not about what I could say, this is what works. This is what has worked for, this many people. And this is what has not worked for this many people, and try this.
Yeah.
And right now there's, in a lot of ways, a lot of things that I think we're in this transition space when it comes to online marketing in general and working in online businesses. We're in a different space. We're in a space where people are, a lot of the things that worked have been taught, and now people know behind some of the stuff that, and we've had more people do NLP, and we had more people do all the things.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, well, I know where that comes from. I know I can hear NLP in a heartbeat when they're trying to sit there, and I'm like, oh my God, just stop. So you really, it's about authenticity and who you are at your core, when you can live from that space and show that space. And it's something I admit, I'm challenged sometimes with that, really showing up, and really, because I've been taught,
I mean, I even still struggle with that. I mean, there's all kinds of things that I want to do that I'm holding myself back from doing, that I tell myself, like, this is ridiculous. And I still have to work through that in some way, because doing what I do, I'm really putting all of me out there.
Yeah.
There's no way for me to not do that, and I have to remember sometimes to post about when I am struggling, when I
Yeah.
am having a hard time, because it's not, I say divine love and light all the time, and everything is not love and light. It's because I say that to remind myself and to remind everyone else that it is there, and that you are divinely loved regardless of what you're going through,
Mhm.
regardless of how you feel in the moment, that you are still divinely guided and you are loved.
Yeah, I'm the first one to tell you, life, you can have a true awesome life right now,
Yeah.
no matter what's going on, what circumstances are there. You're awesome. Your life is truly awesome.
Yeah.
Now, your
And everything
circumstances
doesn't
might,
have to be perfect for it to be
yeah,
awesome. And what's your idea of perfect?
right.
Right? What, like that, we've had that discussion of what's your idea of success?
Hmm.
Because success, when you rewrite what we were told success was supposed to be, because success for everyone is not running a Fortune 500 company. I have a friend who's like, I grew up poor and I'm okay with being poor. That is a mind boggle for me, right? But I had a friend say that, and I'm like, why would you not want more in life? And then I have to sit back and go, it's not my life. It doesn't matter why. Um,
Simple. I can understand the people that like
oh,
9 to 5.
I do too. That is not what I'm talking about,
Right.
though. Right.
I can understand the people that are okay with nine to
Yeah.
five and can
Yeah.
meet their needs and live within their means
Yeah.
and have a simple life. Like I could I'm thinking farmers, I'm thinking I can understand that completely. Now what I
I
can't
do
understand,
too. But that wasn't the mindset.
yeah, what
Right,
I
like, that's, I'm not talking about that part. It's one thing to, yeah, I give kudos to the people who live off grid, who, I give them, I mean, not that I couldn't do that, because I could, um but I don't want to be secluded like that. But no, this was like, I'm not going to strive to do anything else in my life, because I'm just okay with just doing nothing and being nothing. And
yeah,
and everyone's not meant to do what we do. Everyone
no,
is not meant to put themselves out there. I totally, so don't come at me about that, because I'm not, I'm not saying anything negative about, about this person. It just was, at the time, I was flabbergasted by that, because I'm like, why wouldn't you want to do more than that? Why wouldn't you want to, but everyone's definition is different.
mhm,
And I actually just saw a TikTok about that yesterday, where it it showed all these pictures of, like, the nice car and the designer bag and the, all the things. And then she said, and the caption was, most people want Fortune 500 type of success. And then it showed a video of her, and she's living in a little cottage with her kids, and I'm assuming her husband, I don't know, I wasn't paying, but the
yeah,
idea was that her idea of success was growing her own food and
mhm.
having her kids run out and be in nature. And there's nothing wrong with that. So we need to redefine what success really is.
And where your level, and really
Yeah.
define yours, because it
Yeah.
mine is like my motorhome. Like I am so much better. I feel so much better when I'm in
Yeah.
my in my motorhome. I was even when I lived on someone else's property, stationary for a year and a half, I felt better. Like
Yeah.
it just there's something about the thinner walls, there's something about less electricity, there's something about, what that is. And then when I was traveling, I tell everybody all the time, there's a picture of me eating a beignet in New Orleans, and
Right.
it's probably the happiest moment of my life.
Right.
Hey, we have comments. Hey, we had a call last week. I don't know who that is. So yes, I enjoyed our. I've only had a couple calls, so yes, I enjoyed our call also. I'm like trying to think who is that. Now I'm like, okay, who 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 is having great calls? Um, yeah, but what is your version of success? What does that look like for you? What do
Yeah.
you really want out of life? And, you know,
And
John,
mine's big.
of
So
course.
for me, it's like I want to be writing books and traveling and doing sacred soul circles where and helping people to heal across the world, across the country,
Yeah.
and see new places and eat great food.
Eat great food, right? One of the reasons why New Orleans has just this energy for me. It's called me since I was 11 years old. So the first time I read Interview with Vampire, I want to be in New Orleans. I'll be the first to tell you that's why I got it. I know I'm basic. It's okay. But it called me, like called me. And before I actually went nomadic, like before I actually went into RV, John was actually a really great um, conversation. If you guys if you're watching this, go and check out John. We were on last week here on the Creative Nomad. His episode was really cool too. Um, and went over as this one did, as I knew this one would. As soon as I said Heather and I are going to get together, and she goes, "How long are these?" And I'm like, "They're a conversation." And
Right.
she looked at me, rolled her eyes, and said, "Okay."
I knew
But
it was going to be at least an hour. So
yeah, I almost cut it off. We were like at a spot where it was like right there, and then I was like, "You said something else that was really interesting." I was like, "Okay, let's go." Um, but yeah, New Orleans was just like that, and it's an energy thing. And it was I will be back in New Orleans. I will probably um, be there for longer than I was before, and they thought I was a local before. So, and I will probably go back again. I'll probably do something like I did last time, and I'll go to Galveston for a minute, and then I'll go back to New Orleans
nice.
because it really is one of those places that I can see me creating community there. And
I
at
love
the
that.
if there was a place where I could actually stay that was close enough in the RV, because I can't imagine going back into a house. Like
Right.
although I've been in a house for the last year, but I can't imagine actually
I
living in
I
one.
to, I know. I totally understand that
Yeah.
feeling.
Um, I don't actually live in the house. I actually live in my RV. It just isn't here. So, um, if I could find a place that I could do that in New Orleans, like really stay there permanently, I would probably be pretty permanent in New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm being called to the South. I have been for years. Like that's the first place when I start traveling that I'm heading that direction, working my way that way because I don't know where there, but like I got peeps all over and I need to go spend some time down there in some different spots and check it out. And
I would honestly, Galveston was amazing for me. Um, I was on the peninsula, on the Boulevard Peninsula. You can park for free. You could camp there for free.
nice.
It's a $10 sticker that you buy once a year.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, and they're set up for that in a lot of ways. So that's always a great place. But Galveston, my big problem with that is that now I'm in a motorhome, and driving the motorhome to go onto the ferry, and the ferry takes an hour. And so that's 2 hours of your day going back and forth onto the island. Like I want to be on the island at this point. I don't want to be on the peninsula. So I'm gonna end up being on the island somewhere. Um, so if you're in Galveston and have a really good driveway or a nice backyard, let me know. I'm going to shamelessly plug here,
There you
um,
go.
because or New Orleans. Although in New Orleans there really isn't. If you have a really good carriage house,
There you go.
that might be like one of the old carriage houses with a high barn.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. Um, I just
You never know. It'll
yeah,
happen.
It could. It
Yeah.
could. I am so ready to be gone.
Yeah.
We're so ready to be gone. And even I'll probably end up being in Michigan most of the summer at this point. So depending on what happens with Dad, once I get the RV back, I'm probably gonna do the waterfall tour. I keep saying I was gonna do,
There you go.
and stay in Michigan, be close ish.
That's something so I had, my dad passed away at the beginning of 2014, and I had moved away in 2011, and in 2012 I ended up back in Vegas, and I didn't want to be in Vegas.
Mhm.
And but I just knew that I needed to be on the West Coast, um and stuff. And then I knew why, right? And
Yeah.
so I was married once for a very short amount of time, but it allowed me the opportunity because the end of um 2013 my dad got really sick, and I wouldn't trade that time for the world, And though I wanted to leave again and move, because I moved to Colorado and was there for 6 years after my dad passed away, that was one of the things he said to me was, he was supposed to have a liver transplant. He chose not to do the things that he was supposed to do to be able to get on the donor list for multiple reasons. And one of which was, he said, um, that he didn't want me to have to take care of him.
Mhm.
He wanted me to go live my life, and he said, you gave enough of your life up for taking care of your mom, that because I was my mom's primary caregiver. My dad worked 12-hour rotating shifts. He was, so I mean, he took her back and forth to doctor's appointments, but most of her care was my sister and I. And I did the majority of it, and my sister did all the things that I couldn't do. Um, all the messy things. I did all the medical part. She did all the cleanup. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm so thankful for her. But it is super important, because I'm glad that I don't know what I would have done if I wouldn't have been there at the end for my dad. So as much as being nomadic and going places is important, and doing your thing, um you definitely want that time. You definitely want that time.
Yeah.
And to be there,
It's I understand that, and I understand both pools. My
Oh yeah.
problem is that once I leave, I don't want to have to come back.
Right.
Like, I don't want to have to be halfway to where I want to, because I want to be on the West Coast.
Right.
Um, and I don't want to have to leave here, be on the West Coast somewhere, have to come back here,
Right.
because that's a pain.
Right.
Like, and because and it's set up in steps so that I end up on the West Coast. I don't leave here and go to California tomorrow, or
Right.
in the 5 days, or in, straight through.
Yeah.
It's like a 4-month process to get to there,
Right.
so it will, no matter what happens, it'll start being a mess. So in Michigan, honestly, in winter, in the summer, is beautiful. It's a beautiful place to be in the
You don't
summertime.
want to be in Texas. Like you said, what's there to do in Vegas? I'm in Vegas right now. This is where I grew up. I spent since I was 4 here. I mean, the majority of my life here. Um, and you said, what in July? What is there to do in Vegas? Nothing, because it's 120 degrees. Like, there is nothing to do, because you do not, where you guys go out and heat your car up in the wintertime, right? All you people
Yeah.
who live where it snows and stuff like that. And I've been there. You go out, you heat up your car so it's nice and warm. Here in the summertime, you go out and you turn your air conditioner on and you crack your windows to push all of the hot air out,
Mhm.
because it's 150 inside your car. And if you think I'm joking, I'm not.
No.
Because if you don't have a sunshade up, you will burn your hands on your steering wheel.
Mhm.
It's a legit thing. I've known people to literally get second-degree burns on their hands and blister up from touching their steering wheel when it was too hot. And so when you said that, I was like, no, you're going the wrong direction, dude. You do not want to go south for the summer, because
Yeah. And I was looking at all the different ways to make this trip,
Yeah,
right? So I end up in Vegas now, but by the time I get to Vegas, you'll be gone.
hopefully.
So yeah, you'll be gone by the time I get to Vegas. It's gonna be I won't be in Vegas now until November or December, like late November, early December.
We'll see.
And so yeah. Um but
Because I don't have a travel plan other than I know I want to head to the south. I have some people
Mhm.
there I want to spend some time with. Um, but I might want to be back here during the holidays
And
because um yeah, there's some stuff
family.
that yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I go back and forth about that all the time, but what
we'll
I'm going
see.
to my plan is I'm gonna go see Patricia Logan. I'm gonna go be Parsi for
There you
go
go.
be Persian for the holidays
There you go.
and
So
be
I have one of my best friends. This year was the 50th anniversary. They have a party on December 23rd, and when I say it's a party, there's like 200 people that show up. Not
Mhm.
as many since COVID, but I mean, back in it was people in and out the whole entire night. Like tons. It's just a great time. And I missed a few out of them, and so I try not to miss them as much as possible. So I mean that's something that's important
Yeah.
to me. So I might head back this way for that, but we'll see.
And
We'll see.
my only definitive hit point right now that I will be very upset if I don't hit at this point because now it'll be like
In November,
it's November, the first weekend of November being
Palm
Palm
Springs,
Springs Pride.
baby.
Yeah. If I don't hit Palm Springs Pride this year, I'm going to be very, very, very upset with myself, my life, my somehow. Like I don't even
Yeah,
have to be in the RV at this point, but
right.
I
Just
need to
make it
be there.
happen. Yeah.
I just have to make it happen. If I can't make it happen for some reason, I'm going to be like,
So
um,
what you need to do is start looking at tickets now.
I got the tickets.
Yeah.
I've looked at the tickets. I've looked at it. We actually stayed at one of the, when I was there, the one time I was there, I went there as a PR agent for a couple of my authors, and it was
Nice.
fucking amazing. I got to do all this like backstage, all kinds of crazy stuff. I met Richard Simmons.
Nice.
Yeah, like the most random thing. He was there and he was doing like his record that he released. Like
Sweating with the oldies, baby.
it was so funny. Like because that's where you think of when you think of Richard Simmons, you're
Yep.
thinking Swim with the Oldies. But he came on. He had an album that he released that was actually he released an album.
That's hilarious.
So, but it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely love you.
I love
You
you.
you know I absolutely love you. I'm so glad that other people get to see you. Um,
Thanks. Thanks
and
for having me on here.
I'm
So fun.
we're gonna hang out again soon. Um, we'll find another place to be live and crazy together. Uh,
Anytime you want.
woo! Mm. I got like that. So,
Follow me. Go do all the things. Click
go
all the
do all the things.
buttons.
They're all there. They're push the
Yeah.
buttons and
Yeah. Wherever they are.
yeah,
Click all the
wherever they are,
buttons.
wherever you're
Come hang
watching.
out with me. Come have a session with me. I do 30-minute card pulls. I do hour card pulls where we go through several decks. We talk about all kinds of things. I do soul sessions. And I do have a 9-week course where we go through each chakra and get down and dirty. And we meet once a week and we really get the healing process going. You're not going to heal in that 9 weeks, but I'm going to give you some tools to be able to be more self-aware and know the basis of the whys so that you can work through your stuff. And it's life-changing.
It
It's
is.
life-changing.
Being around Heather at all is life changing.
Thanks.
She's fabulous. Go and see her. I'll see you all soon. I'll see you all next week. You were loved.
Thanks for listening to the Creative Nomad Show. If you have any questions about this or any other episode, go to creativenomadshow.com. There's also a link at the bottom if you are a radical and would like to be a guest, you can apply to be on the show there. Thanks again, and know that you are loved. Awesome Life, we look for the world changers who want to live in creativity, authenticity, and profitability whenever, wherever. So check out trueawesomelife.com and let's get started.